And now I'm watching a new clip from a new channel, reacting to. It's called EV Boxing, and it's called the many effects of CTE in boxing MMA. On the thumbnail, it had like many iconic guys, like Tito Ortiz and Diego Sanchez. They're kind of wild in the head, but let's see how CTE has affected our favorite guys in our combat sports, man. Let's get into it.
CTE is extremely common in combat sports. CTE stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is normally caused by repeated blows to the head, which naturally will happen in a sport that's built around touching people in the head, and it can affect fighters to different extents. In some cases, it can actually be funny to observe, but in practically every other case, it's tragic and one of the darkest parts to combat sports. First of all, in a lighter tone, Tito Ortiz is maybe the most obvious case.
Yeah, he definitely got it.
It's personal because, in a way, you're jealous of him. How does hearing that out of his mouth fall on your ears?
Jealous of him? This guy can't even put a fucking sentence together, man. Are you kidding me right now? He's reaching for those grapes. He's trying to make his wine, and the wine's already sounding like a violin with that cheese and wine.
What? Yeah, you're gonna have to send your brain to the scientist when you die. And also his sentence, he could barely speak. He probably got it too, but that's crazy. What, Tito? You was tweaking with that one. I ain't gonna lie, he's tweaking.
We'll see on November 24th.
Tito Ortiz may actually be a case where CTE hasn't really affected his brain capacity. Even as a younger man in the UFC, he's been one of the least bright people in the sport, and his interviews have spawned endless material.
I've been one of the toughest 185-pounders, number 2 ranked, Matt Lindland.
As you guys get older, is it harder to get your bodies into the shape that's required to go at each other?
Not with me. I mean, I've only been off for a year and a half. I'm only 43 years old. I'm an old mature. I mean, I'm matured old.
What?
Very fast, but at the same time, my body hasn't matured great.
Chuck tweaking too.
Because of my father's really old. My father's 80 years old. My grandmother's 100 years old. So my body is in great shape.
Old, but you're
going
still
out and
funny
doing
though.
a promo to sell the fight, and I don't think there's anybody in this business that does it better than me. Maybe was it Gregor McConnor or Conor?
Gregor McConnor.
He does a really good job. Khabib or Conor? God, Conor's just too damn good.
Maybe he's dyslexic. He might be dyslexic. I ain't gonna
There's
lie.
fighters like Johnny Bones Jones, Conor McGregor. I keep saying Khabib, but it's actually Habib Menenenov. And he technically
it is a hard name.
Organization Eagle FC. It's Khabib Menenenov. If I pronounced the name wrong. How many times a week training do I do for this fight?
Oh yeah, I remember this.
6 days. Actually, 6 days a week. 5 days a week. I'll train 3 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
One of those days I will train 2 days of the week. So 6 days a week I'll be training.
That makes complete sense. I understand, Tito. I do that all the time.
I'm a totally different person than I was 12 years ago when we fought. I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm younger.
Unfortunately, he couldn't get this match.
I don't know about that one.
I heard that he tried to sell some suits to make do on the car, but nobody had a size 52 stupid.
Tito, all I can ask is what your rebuttal is to that, man.
Go ahead and check my Instagram at Tito Ortiz 1999, and that'll answer that fool's complete gas. All I hear is gas coming out of his ass, and it's not his butt.
What? Nah, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. It's really bad.
You know what? Actually, let me go ahead and find Chael Sonnen for you. I think I got him right about here.
Got a juice box?
And on January 21st, Chael Sonnen is gonna get smashed.
Yeah.
That's the way I do inside the cage. Kicking ass and taking names. With Chael Sonnen, you're next.
Cannot wait to see it January 21st
Like, what is
at
he
the
talking
Forum
about?
in Los Angeles, California, and they'll
He
be
dead serious too.
I expect no least than what I expect in my camp, what I've been doing in my camp.
This shouldn't be that funny, bro. This is bad.
What you saw in the ring.
Now, is it true you're coming back in the fall, though, that the fight will be in the fall?
Yes, it'll be in April. I start camp probably around in the beginning of July.
I think everybody's starting to believe your lies now. Finally, your lies are becoming truth, huh, buddy?
I have an interpreter here.
Lies are becoming the truth, buddy.
Everybody had question of what type of heavyweight you were. You showed it once on Tim Sylvia in 38 seconds. You've done it again. Alejandro Arlovski in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Let me tell you how you're feeling right now.
I don't drink alcohol that much at all anymore, you know, ever. I mean, not compared to when I was in my 20s.
What?
I take care of myself now. Now it's about my kids. You know, I want to live. I want to outlive my children. Of course, 100%.
Nah, that was insane. Bro said, I want to outlive my children. 100%. He want to bury his kids, bro. They got to test his brain, bro. That's insane.
And I just look at
they
it. They
got to test that
take
brain.
Care of myself and everything I do.
He like, bro, you hear this, man? Oh, damn. Hey, stop this. He dying.
And then I did my junior high school, 87, 88, and
you don't know what's after
88. 87, 88, and then
this is not funny, but it is, bro. That's really bad.
I, Tito Ortiz.
Do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend.
Do I solemnly swear?
I shouldn't be laughing at this. This is bad.
That I will support and defend.
And that I will support and defend.
Discharge the duties.
About which I'm
about to enter.
That I'm about to enter.
As a councilman.
Maybe he just get nervous when he talks, man. I don't know, man. His brain is definitely cooked, but maybe he like.
Tito Ortiz is probably the only case where CTE is funny. As funny as his clips can be, Tito doesn't seem that bad of a guy, and considering he was the same before he retired, his clips may simply be a case of Tito not being that smart, and he finds it difficult to articulate himself. Moving on to the serious part of the video, one boxer that seems to stand out in terms of being affected by CTE is James Toney. James Toney is essentially...
James Toney got that. That makes sense. He got the CTE. He thought he could whoop somebody in MMA with just hands. Randy Couture took bro down instantaneous. That was crazy.
A cautionary tale for young fighters as to how they shouldn't approach their careers. And it's quite simple to explain why James Toney is so affected by CTE. There are few fighters who have sparred as much as James Toney has. Throughout his career, full contact sparring has been the main source of training for Toney, and in the later stages of his career was the only source of training he had. Fighters are usually told not to spar too much to avoid unnecessary brain damage. So considering the amount of sparring he's done, plus the fact that he's had 92 professional fights from 1988 all the way to 2017, it was a recipe for disaster.
Damn. How does it feel to be hit in the head really hard?
You think that's funny? Man. That's crazy.
Well, when you first get hit, you see a big black spot.
Oh, that's bad.
Pain hits you. After I get done with the fight, I'm like, damn, do I really want to do this? Is this the career I really want to choose?
For 19 years, boxer James Toney has continued to return to the ring, where he's won 4 world titles from middleweight to heavyweight.
He won some belts.
But along the way, he also may have suffered an injury that doctors only now are beginning to understand. It involves the impact of head trauma on the pituitary gland, a pea-sized organ that secretes many of the body's most important hormones.
So when someone has a head injury, the brain, we know, moves around within the skull, and there can be stretching of the pituitary stalk, or there can be direct damage to the pituitary gland.
Damage to that so-called master gland can lead to deficiencies in critical hormones that affect everyday energy levels and such processes as the healing of muscles and bones.
Which hormones are you low in, and how low are you?
They said testosterone levels real low, like damn near non-existent.
That makes
sense. That's a strange thing to hear from a boxer.
Brain been shaking,
right? I mean, you're in the testosterone sport.
Yeah, but see, I was shocked when Dr. Gordon told me. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious?
Just to compare James Toney's speech from the 90s to the present day.
Well, things are going pretty good right now for me. As far as things coming up for me, I'm trying to, get a fight with Roy Jones down the line and possibly win the light heavyweight title. And Virgil will give me a chance.
You are probably the most active fighter in the ring today. You believe in that more than other fighters, it seems like. How does that help you out?
Well, it keeps me sharp. I believe, if you're a champion, you're a people's champion, you got to be out in front of the public every time you get a chance. So I try to stay busy, let everybody know that James Toney is always doing something.
You don't seem to be a fan of Usyk?
He's boring. See,
that's
why I love England. I love coming to England.
That's bad.
I've been to England
that's real
4
bad.
times. I love it, my favorite place. I love the suit factory. I love all that. We're going to have fighters. Like, Nigel Benn, Eubanks, they all suck. Usyk same
They
way.
are. Usyk is not British,
on.
by the way. He's not
Scared.
British, by the way.
Fight somebody. Terry, Fury to fight. Obviously, he was motivated to fight. And Usyk won. Barely. And still barely. And but in the rematch, it was just...
Another notorious case in MMA
I've
that
seen
follows
him.
the same pattern
His is bad.
Nam Phan.
Nam
American
Phan is
Vietnamese
bad.
former UFC fighter Nam Phan is unfortunately rarely remembered for his UFC run, but rather the severe degradation of his speech after retirement.
They said no or whatever, and he just kept on like just like harassing him. I was like, dude, Jose, why don't you leave these guys alone, man? Just quit picking on, quit messing with these guys. He goes, F you now. We're gonna kick your ass. We want to fight. We want to fight. You know, after school or something like that. He goes, I'm all like, no, like, dude, I don't want to fight you. I'm just saying, leave these guys alone.
Yeah, hey, done. Come out this morning. We'll be late.
That's you know what's really sad about that man, like, cause like things right, he was in the UFC, but like he didn't become like one of the best ever. Like having to have, it's one thing to have all this brain trauma, but you got multiple championships and you made a whole bunch of money. Like that comes with it, you know. Like it doesn't make it better. I'm just saying, like, if you gonna have CTE like this, it would be best to have all that money and accomplishment of mine, but he don't even have that. His brain is like compromised and he don't even got like the accolades to like show for it. Like, that's crazy.
I did run 5 miles.
Like, this is sad, bro.
First round, I wrestled some wrestler guy who's good, he's tough. Kept the pressure on him. Eventually, I got to the takedown and stuff like that. I got 4-2, took his back.
And my family and my close friends who care about me, they don't want to see me get hurt. And
like, that's wild, bro. Like, it's like night and day.
He did after my fight.
How bad his speech is.
You know, I tried to get Dacker after the fight. He's a pretty cool guy.
The facts that Nam Phan chose to box after retiring from MMA, 8 fights, all of which he lost, would have definitely done unnecessary damage to his health, and is a worrying sign for MMA fighters in general, as a lot of them choose to turn over to boxing as they're already well beyond their physical peak, which is going to take us to the most complicated case in the video, Diego Sanchez.
Man, Diego Sanchez, real bad. If you ever seen that clip of him and his trainer, his trainer also, who's a scam artist, his trainer had him upside down, right? He was just being boom, 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 boom. He was treating his head like a punching bag, just straight fist on him. I was like, bro, that's insane. And the crazy part is, he didn't pay him. In the end, like, to get rid of him, he paid him hella money for him to leave him alone. Like, man, Diego been through it, man. That's crazy, dude.
I've sweat. I've cried. I've cried for this company. I've sacrificed more than you will ever know. And you can't have a 45 minutes to meet with it?
Diego Sanchez has always been one of the weirdest fighters in the UFC, but his strange spiral he went on after leaving the UFC was nothing more than unfortunate to witness. Diego Sanchez, first and foremost, is a certified UFC legend. He's put on some of the best fights in the company's history. He'd been a staple in the company since 2005, and he gave more than people can imagine to the sport. But naturally, as fighters do, Diego Sanchez got older, his performances got worse, and he's starting to lose more, which prompted his family to urge him to retire. The way Sanchez saw this was that people didn't believe in him, which led to him separating from his wife.
I pushed my ex-wife away because she was pushing me towards retirement, and she didn't want to see me get hurt. And you know, I took it as, you know,
I think he's good now.
You're giving up on me. You don't believe in me, and we went our separate ways. So I was in a real rocky road.
Not only did Sanchez leave his wife, he also left his long-term training team. The influence behind all this sudden separation would be a total outside source, a self-help guru by the name of Joshua Fabia, who had wormed his way into Diego Sanchez's life. Upon any close examination of Joshua Fabia's portfolio, it should be easy to tell what sort of scam he's running. Upon looking at his self-written biography, apparently at the age of 9, he single-handedly healed his grandfather's health issues, which included a stroke, brain aneurysms and heart attacks. Despite no qualification in any of the areas, He's apparently a master of defence, protection, human rights, confidence building, meditation, athletic training, physical therapy, acupressure, Western massage, and nutrition. He also apparently holds certifications in martial arts, personal training, military fields, stretch training, and breathing. To everyone watching the video, this is clearly BS. But to a guy like Diego Sanchez, who seems quite gullible and would not be in the right state of mind considering the brain trauma he's had in his career, Sanchez made for a perfect victim for Joshua Fabia. And somehow no warning signs went off for Diego when Joshua Fabia's training techniques were introduced, which included chasing people around with a knife and being used as an upside-down punching bag for Joshua Fabia himself. Bro. Sanchez was also apparently taught a death move, which could immediately cause death for an opponent. He was apparently ready to use it for his next fight versus Michael Chiesa. The fight would take place, and Michael Chiesa remains alive and well, because Chiesa would dominate Sanchez for 3 straight rounds. People caught wind of Fabia's weird techniques in the MMA world.
This is Voodoo Coach. Oh, this is his coach?
This is the Voodoo Coach that would be Diego Sanchez's corner. No one else. This dude has no experience as an MMA coach, by the way. So this is the dude that's telling him to be like Tyson.
He's being like water right now. You see that slip? That slip?
Bro.
Oh.
Well,
touch butt.
Like
touch butt.
Diego's such a strange guy, man. He might believe that this dude has magic powers. Because he was talking about I think a big part of Diego's success is his belief system, right? Diego just believes things. Bro.
Dude.
Oh, this guy's amazing.
Dude,
what technique?
Here comes an elbow.
Oh, come on, son. Show me that. Oh, knocking people out. Bro. So good. Imagine looking at this guy and go, listen, fuck Longo and Sarah. That's where I need to be.
If the training techniques and fight performances weren't proof enough, the fact that Sanchez was visibly out of shape every time he fought under Fabia should be enough proof for anyone that he's being manipulated, because his fighting performances have been nothing but disastrous for Sanchez, and learning to shadow box blindfolded certainly doesn't help. Despite all this though, the UFC was still willing to do Sanchez a favour. Because of the time he'd put into the UFC, they offered him a fight versus fellow legend Donald Cowboy Cerrone for a larger sum of money. However, in retaliation for some reason, Joshua Fabia decided to threaten the UFC with legal action, claiming they were sabotaging his career, and he planned on listing the amount of injuries Sanchez had since joining the UFC to make a statement about fighter safety and potentially win a lawsuit. However, by Fabia accusing the UFC of sabotaging his career, Fabia directly sabotages Sanchez's career. Because naturally, if your coach is threatening to sue the UFC, the obvious course of action is to cut Sanchez from the UFC. So after Sanchez linked up with Joshua Fabia, he's since performed terribly in his fights, looked terribly out of shape, and was ultimately cut from the promotion as a direct result of Fabia's actions. But Fabia, being as manipulative as he is, would somehow convince Sanchez that this was all just a big conspiracy against him.
I'm going to tell you guys both frankly right now, I'm fearful, man. I'm fearful for my life. I'm fearful that this company, this billion-dollar monopoly company worldwide, is going to come after me. Something might happen to me in 2 years, maybe in a couple years. Maybe something happened. Maybe my truck fall. Maybe I wrecked my truck. Maybe something happened. Maybe Diego overdosed on some suicide. I don't know, but I would not put anything past the level of evil that is within this corporation.
Sanchez seems to fall further and further into the Joshua Fabia rabbit hole as he disowns family members to stay loyal to Fabia. And at this point, this is when the video started circulating of Joshua Fabia punching Sanchez in the head as a punching bag. This video...
He was really just binking his... He just let it happen. Mind you, he gave that man millions of dollars to leave him alone after this. Man, the brain is a crazy thing, bro. Y'all stay safe out there, man.
Was viewed as so ridiculous and also concerning that it became somewhat viral, and people started to urge Sanchez to get out, as he was clearly in a cult-like relationship with Fabia. Somewhere along the line, Sanchez managed to see sanity, as he would finally cut ties with Joshua Fabia. And in typical cult-like behaviour, Joshua Fabia starts a whole smear campaign on Diego Sanchez, claiming it was actually him who's been taken advantage of, making all kinds of accusations, saying he's got special needs, saying he's a drug addict, and claiming that Sanchez has thrown several fights in his UFC career. Thankfully, none of these accusations led to anything, and Diego chose not to engage with Fabia at all. Even online, he simply moved on. And as a result, we've seen Diego Sanchez in much better spirits. He's linked back with his family, and on that positive note, that does it for the video. Like and subscribe, leave a comment. Goodbye.
Hey, shout out to EV Boxing. It was a good video, man. This is the many effects of CTE and boxing MMA. It's sad. It's sad about them stories, man. But like the way he formatted this video with the clips and everything, I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna definitely have to check more of his content out, see if he got some new stuff. But yeah, that was a great video. It's really sad about how like how the brain works and how incredible. We just figured out what CTE is, man. So, but yeah, if you ever into fighting, man, protect your noggin. You don't gotta spar for real like that. Spar a little bit. Don't spar crazy, man. But like, share, comment, subscribe.